G'day everyone, welcome one and all to another edition of Guvs Hero Review videos, in which we are going to be checking out another Season 2 hero. Specifically though, we are looking at the 5-star legendary blue hero, Warchest, the missile defense droid. As is the case with all of the Neon City heroes, Warchest, as you can see, is available for summons from the Neon City portal, which rolls around once every 4 weeks. Warchest himself was added to PuzzleCombat as part of the initial release of heroes with the Season 2 portal, way back in November 2021. That portal, though, didn't stay pure. It was added to month on month after that initial appearance, with a new hero being dropped in with every subsequent appearance. The portal odds themselves, we can see them there coming in at 1% chance for a featured Neon City hero and a 0.6% chance for an unfeatured Neon City hero. So to put that into perspective, if you were to do 100 summons in this portal, costing you 30,000 gold or 100 or 1,000, no, 100,000 coins? I don't know, whatever it is, 10,000 coins. Anyway, point is, if you did 100 summons in this portal, you would have a 63.4% probability of gaining one of the 2 featured heroes and a 45.3% chance, or probability rather, of gaining one of the 25 unfeatured heroes. If you were to drill down onto the specific odds, so you would have a 39.4% probability of getting a specific featured hero, but just a 2.4% probability of gaining a specific unfeatured hero from this portal. So not the greatest odds when they're an unfeatured hero going for someone specific, somewhat better when they're featured, but still not fantastic, all things in all. Yeah, let's have a look quickly at his artwork. I didn't scroll up before starting this one, but that's okay. There is Warchest's artwork. So not a huge amount to say on this. He's a missile defense droid, so a little bit of the old Iron Man sort of thing going, where it's like a robot suit with a whole bunch of like rockets coming from the, well, in this case it's the chest region. I think Iron Man had it pop up off his shoulders and it was like a behind shoulder mount sort of thing. But yeah, either way, this is Warchest's artwork. It looks less like missiles and more like a whole bunch of just Phillip head screws that have just been put into his chest there. But yeah, anyway, that's his artwork. Feel free to pause it if you wish, but otherwise, let's jump back across and chat about his family bonus. So he is a member of the corporate family, which means that Warchest is granted a chance to steal 50% of the direct healing and armor from enemy special skills. So it's a 15, 20, 25, or 30% chance to steal that HP or that healing when there are 2, 3, 4, or 5 unique heroes from the corporate family in the battle. There is also the defense improvement we can see there, giving you plus 3, 6, 9, or 12% based on the same number of heroes. So it is a bit of a vampire effect, I guess. So if the enemy hero would be getting 400 HP, Warchest and the other corporate family members, if they proc it, would get 50% of that. So they'd only get 200 of the 400, and Warchest would get the other 200. It does have to be unique heroes though, so it can't be 2 copies of Warchest. It's got to be 2 different corporate heroes, such as combining Warchest with Ghost or Warchest with Sato as 2 different examples. In terms of his personal stats, Warchest comes in with 735 attack, 726 defense, and 1,437 HP. So there's not really much of a skew going on there. A little bit from the HP towards the attack stat, but nothing substantial all in all. Let's put this back to being red. Yep, there we go. Not a real big skew at all. It is also worth pointing out as well, Warchest does come in with 714 power as compared to Topaz, who is the latest and greatest hero, I guess, into this portal, coming in with 742. So there is a little bit of a power creep going on there. I'm only noting it because the power is a representation of their overall base stat distribution. So more power means more stats to be distributed, essentially. And that's power creep in a nutshell. So he has stayed remarkably well tuned, I would say, given his age. But yeah, it is a little bit down on the BST. Yeah, cool. Charge speed is the next thing on my list. Sorry, I lost my spot momentarily. So his charge speed is set to 43, which is average speed, and requires 11 tiles to charge, or 6 ghosted tiles. The speed break happens at speed 50 rather, so +7 speed improvement, which you can do using any of the speed guns in blue. So you've got either the Regalizer Magnum or the Ice Breath Saw. Both of those are 5-star guns and give you +9 speed improvement. The double break is +15, it's just not possible, and the reason for that is because 43 is just inside the 11 tile bracket. 42 would be 12 tiles, 43 is 11, so 50 is the next notch up to get you that single speed break. So the class node on the Demolitions talent tree is not really relevant unless you're using an unleveled speed gun. So the 2% charge generation node will speed break a +6 weapon, and obviously the +7 is all you need to start with, so yeah. Class, as I mentioned, Demolitions class hero, which means that he is granted the chance to shell shock the enemy by removing buffs from the target whenever dealing damage. That removal of buffs will also trigger an increase of 15% damage per each buff removed, and a flat increase of 50% damage on normal damage when the Demolitions talent is procced. So personally, I love the Demolitions talent. It's a free chance to dispel, essentially, as well as also being free damage. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal going on. So typically, I give +1 improvement to all of my Demolition class heroes once they're maxed, just to activate that chance for the shell shocking. By way of an emblem path, you can see I've done 2 war chests, so I'll just show one of them. So I would recommend pretty well going the attack path I would recommend going the attack path the whole way down the tree. I did make one little mistake. Did I do it on both or just that one? No, just that one. So this is the path I would recommend going. So on the other one, I sort of went this way on accident and didn't really realize it until I'd already done it, and I can't be asked going back and doing it again. So this is the path that I would recommend doing for war chest. So you can see I've picked up attack nodes the whole way down the tree. I've stopped at +18 because, as I mentioned, that 19 node for speed is not really relevant, and the 4% at the very end is a lot of emblems for a small attack improvement. So I stopped my 2 at +18. You're welcome to go further if you think it's relevant, but I wouldn't personally, and I haven't on either of mine. So that is the talent tree that I would recommend for war chest, and this is all basically aimed at enhancing his damage output. More attack, more damage, more win, essentially. So yeah, pause it if you need, but otherwise, let's head back and we can take a read of his special skill. So his special skill is titled, whoops, that's Pulse, Seeker Missiles, and at level 10 skill and 43 charge speed, it will deal 215% damage to all enemies. This effect cannot miss, and then all enemies then get -38% accuracy for 3 turns. That's it. Just the 3 dot points, which is really just 2 dot points at the end of the day. So we'll break that down, and I'll start with the damage element as pretty much always. Damage is easy enough to calculate, but it's got a lot of randomness and variability in it. So for simplicity, I compare heroes based on their attack power, which is just their attack stat, 735, multiplied by the skill percentage, 215%. Attack power is analogous to their final damage output anyway, so more attack power will ultimately mean more damage. So in the case of War Chest, we can see he's coming in there at 144 attack power per tile, which is number 2 of the blue DOA 5 hitters. In fact, he is only beaten by Sapphire, who is the most recent DOA 5 hitter on that list, and one of the latest heroes, I think the 3rd or 4th last hero, added to the Neon City portal. So he's done surprisingly well to maintain his usefulness in that DOA 5 hitting list. So yeah, number 2 of the 9 blue ones. If we expand it out to all the elements, he does actually still come in at 9 of the 44. So still a very good hero in the upper quarter of all DOA 5 hitters in the game. You can see others on there. Sapphire I mentioned, 161, Clara 128, Tremor 121, and so forth down the list, until we get to Panzer at the bottom at just 87 attack power per tile. per enemy as well. So I will point out that all of these heroes are hitting multiple enemies. This is just on a single target. So if you've got 5 enemies still alive, that obviously becomes a 600, 700 and something odd attack power per tile. So quite good overall. Moving on from the damage, we have a look at the second part, which is that it says can't miss. Not a very descriptive line, but basically it is, well, I mean, there's nothing really basic about it, but it's an extremely intriguing effect, and it is completely unique to Warchest. There is no other hero that has this effect in the game. So what it does is it negates all dodge buffs, all dodge perks, all evasion perks, and all inaccuracy elements that exist on Warchest and on those enemy heroes. It doesn't negate stealth, as noted in the little question mark tippy thing there, and it doesn't do taunt, miscast, or insanity or stealth, because all of those are affecting targeting rather than it being missing. And that's the very key difference. It says can't miss rather than can't target or cannot be blocked or something like that. So if a hero has taunt active at the time, it is still only going to hit the taunt hero. Similarly, miscast will cause him to shoot his own allies, and insanity just completely removes the skill altogether. But beyond that, as I said, it is doing dodge, evasion, and inaccuracy. So everybody knows how great dodge is as a effect. It's really annoying when you come up against it, which makes Warchest really great to combat those heroes. But beyond how good it is against dodge, we put that to the side. A really fantastic combination for Warchest is with Blunderbuss. So Blunderbuss gives normally 195% attack with a minus 32% accuracy. But because Warchest's skill can't miss, he gets the attack buff without actually losing the downside of having the miss chance. He will always hit with that plus 195% attack. So essentially, Warchest's attack power, it started off at 1,580 attack power per enemy. Under Blunderbuss's buff, that goes up to 4,661 attack power per enemy. So what that actually translates to in terms of a damage output is it goes up to 293% damage. So if, for argument's sake, we were dealing 100 damage to the enemy, instead, under this effect, we're going up and dealing almost 300 damage to that enemy, because we're getting that massive attack improvement without that chance to miss. So notably, for this little combination of Warchest and Blunderbuss, it does only apply to his skill damage, all right? Tile damage, minions, slash attacks, all of the rest of that is still affected by dodge and inaccuracy, all right? Across the board. This can't miss only applies to Warchest's special skill. I will point that out because I have actually had someone mention that to me previously about why doesn't this work? Anyway, so yeah, rather a really good effect and very unique, very, very intriguing as well. So I really like it quite a lot, as you probably have picked up on. The last part of his skill is the blind element, or the miss chance that he gives out. So all enemies get minus 38% accuracy for 3 turns. This chance to miss also applies to offensive special skills. So it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, so 3 turns is a standard duration. It's very normal, as is the minus 38%. Every hero that does mischance is minus 38%, with the exception of Hex, who does minus 58%, and obviously Blunderbuss with minus 32%. Essentially, what inaccuracy, or this minus 38% accuracy, does is it essentially adds an extra check on the start of the damage calculation. So before it does things like evasion and dodge and all of that, it wants to make sure, am I actually going to be targeting? Can I hit that enemy first and foremost? So it's essentially an extra roll. So it does stack with other forms of inaccuracy, like you've got Pumpernickel's passive, you've got Accent's Fiend, as well as the blind that comes from Blunderbuss's effect. So you could have a crazy amount of negative accuracy if you were to layer it all up. So technically it's possible to get above 100% blind if you layered a minus 38% from Warchest with a 40% from Pumpernickel and 25% from Accent's Fiends. That comes out to being minus 103% accuracy. So theoretically, you could have a situation where the enemy just couldn't hit you. Like, it was physically impossible for them to hit you. But you obviously need to get a lot of the stacks from Pumpernickel for that to happen. So you need 37 of the 40 stacks. So that's a lot. Blind, as a general note, it is countered by accuracy weapons. So these are things like the Lancehead MA2020, the Speedster GLM, or the Martha MA2021. There's a lot of other weapons in there, but those are just 3 examples of accuracy guns. So yeah, it's quite interesting, the blind, because it's kind of like his skill says, I can't miss you, but wait, I'm going to put this blind on you instead. So it's, yeah, kind of a little bit interesting. So overall for Warchest, he is a very interesting, very unique, and actually quite a good hero overall. His damage output has remained pretty handy, even with the passage of time. He's 2 and a bit years old, almost 3 years old at this stage in time, and he's still maintaining his spot in the top quarter of damage dealers of the AoE 5 style hitters. The inability to miss from his special skill is still a unique effect to Warchest. There's no other hero that has that effect, and it has some really great synergy with heroes like Blunderbuss or Mr. Magnet, because you gain all of the benefit from that massive attack buff without the drawback of potentially missing your skill shot. So if you do want to see this effect in action, there's actually a video on my channel called Charge Attack Easy Mode. I'll link it in the description of this video, but it is really great if you're interested in seeing just how potent the combination of Blunderbuss and Warchest can actually be. The blind chance from himself is kind of like an insult to injury. It's like, I'm immune to inaccuracy, so you can have it instead. And it does give him a lot of usability in raiding, wars, war machines, and all of that, by giving added survival via the mischance, as well as the amount of damage that he's dealing out as well. So for Warchest grading, overall, I do rate him fairly well. I think he is still a very useful hero. So I'm going to give him a B+ for war and raid attack situations. As I said, a lot of usability even without Blunderbuss, but with Blunderbuss, it just makes an added awesomeness. But without Blunderbuss, still a very good hero, as we saw with the damage ratings. On the war machines, I'm going to give him a B grade because mostly because of the inaccuracy. It gives you added survival, but he's also got decent damage in and of himself. Not great though, because there is only one target, but yeah, that B grade comes mostly on the back of the inability to miss, because obviously in war machines you're probably going to have Blunderbuss there, and also the mischance that he puts on the war machine itself. In eventing, same sort of thing, B grade here as well. Again, because eventing, you're typically going to be using Blunderbuss for the damage improvement, so not being able to miss does help him out more than it does a lot of other heroes there as well. On the war and raid defenses, I'm going to keep him a B. I'm going to put him, I should say, as a B grade here. There was a time when he was the preferred tank in the game. It's hard to believe it now, but he and Tremor were probably the top 2 at one stage, as the blue meta was reigning at that stage. Now, I would say his best position is probably in the flank spot, so in position 2 or position 4 on your defense team. So B grade for defense. In our 3 tournament settings, so we've got the Bloody Battle tournament, so there's nothing really in his skill that enhances or dehances him in the Bloody Battle sphere, so I'm going to give him a B+ for attack and a B grade for Bloody Battle defense. The buff boosters, I wouldn't say he's really adding anything on a buff booster scene. Buff booster scene. I will get there eventually. He does have the Demolitions talent, which is still quite good on this tournament setting. So I'm going to give him a B grade for buff booster attack and a B grade for buff booster defense. Finally, in the charge tournament setting, so this is where his speed is improved from 43 up to 65. So I'm going to give him a little bit of an improvement because he does gain that speed improvement. I'm going to give him an A- for charge attack tournament and a B+ for charge tournament defense. So overall, that actually comes out as being a B+ for his overall attack grade and a B grade for his overall defense. And that concludes the content that I have for this review of Warchest. As always, these are just my personal thoughts and opinions on these heroes. I do love hearing your thoughts and feedback on them, so please do feel free to jump down to the comments section and leave me a note. I try to read and respond as much as possible. If you did enjoy the video, found it to be good, useful, helpful and all of that, feel free to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, comment and all of that sort of thing, but definitely also share the video around, because chances are if this is useful for yourself, it's also going to be useful to people you play with as well. Thank you once again for tuning in and joining me. I do hope that I will see you again soon, but until then, good luck, stay safe and happy gaming. Cheers, bye!